Welcome to the House on Fire podcast. Our aim is to light a fire for Jesus in the homes of those who listen through encouragement and equipping. Let's partner together to advance the gospel in the next generation. I am your host, Lucas Jackson, and I am passionate about seeing more people on fire for Jesus. When you listen to the House on Fire podcast, you'll hear from people you can rub shoulders with every week at Bethel Church, because all of our guests are from our church family. These are people striving to love God, love others, and to serve the world. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on this episode, and I'm excited to have Bennett on today. Bennett, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family so those listening have an idea of who you are, my friend.
Yeah, well, my name's Bennett Gerlach. I am a second-year student at Moody Bible Institute online.
Yeah.
I'm studying for ministry leadership there.
Yeah, and you're hoping to do what in ministry specifically?
Well, really, I want to, the hope is to go into youth ministry. So, yeah.
And you're doing primarily online, so you're staying home right now with family and all that kind of stuff and doing it online.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. What worship service do you normally attend at Bethel? Just so that way if somebody was like, I want to ask this guy a question. Where would I find him on a Sunday morning, you know?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because a lot of times I will go to the first service with my family. And then since I have things after second service, like right after, I stay for the second service as well. So.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Yeah. So you're around a lot. So, and then what like life group or discipleship making group are you involved in that's been bringing just joy to your life? It's been helping you walk with the Lord.
I would say our college ministry here. It's been really helpful for making friendships, building relationships that I already had before, and just getting to know people.
Yeah, that's awesome. When did you become a believer?
That happened around when I was 7.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, I was in a school lecture. I was homeschooled and watching a video, pre-recorded video, but the teacher was talking a lot about salvation and how Jesus gives you salvation. So what I was learning was how to become a believer, and so from there on, I then learned more, and I put my faith in Jesus.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So around 7, that's super cool. In what areas do you find yourself serving at Bethel Church?
So I serve in quite a few different ways, I guess.
Yes.
So I'm an intern here at Bethel. So basically, any of the youth events, I'll be around, and I try serving in middle school ministry as a 8th grade guys life group leader, and I have stuck around for the high school ministry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been great having you, man. Well, the topic that, you kind of wanted to talk about, which I'm excited, you spent all summer, this past summer at Cooperstown Bible Camp, serving as a counselor. How many weeks straight was it? I forget. 9 weeks?
It was 8 weeks of serving. Yes.
Okay. 8 weeks of serving. So we're going to talk about what that was like, things that you learned and all that kind of stuff. So to start that off, what led you to want to spend your summer serving out at Cooperstown Bible Camp? And for those that aren't aware listening, if you're part of Bethel Church, it's owned by the EFCA denomination. So it is a part of our Northern Plains District summer camp run by Adam. And so if you're not familiar with it, you would encourage you to check it out. I'll put the link to the camp in the show notes as well. So anyway, but what led you to spend your summer serving out there, Bennett?
It was actually a weird situation there. I had been going through quite a few things just in life in general, and I talked to you a lot, of course, about those things, and you mentioned like a shift in environment, like how that could help me grow.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of put that off a bit. I, of course, listened, but at the same time, it was like, yeah, I don't know what that shift will be. Then later on in probably about March, I think that's when you brought up Cooperstown, how they were looking for people. And you kind of urged me to check it out and give it some prayer and thought. And honestly, I did pray about it a little bit, and but I didn't really want to go. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of it was just, I guess, fear. Fear about the unknown. Different worries I had. I had other plans here. Kind of was hoping to work extra in the summer, get more money for college, do all that stuff. And of course, going to Cooperstown, that's not quite as much. But you continue to encourage me to pray about it. And it was funny because probably in about May, I needed to come up with a decision.
Yeah.
Because I think the deadline was like May 17th or something for my application. And so like the first week of May, I just really feel convicted about like serving there. I was almost trying to put off coming up with other excuses, but then I figured that this was probably more like a Jonah moment, like where Jonah's running away from God. And then eventually, it doesn't go so well for him. And I just thought, I don't want this to be like Jonah. And I thought back to the change in environment that you had suggested, like that change in environment that could be Cooperstown. And so, yeah, I guess that's where it came from. Didn't want to disobey what I thought God was calling me to, and I thought it was gonna be good for my growth.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that conversation, but I mean, like the dozen of them that we had.
Yeah,
I did not purposely invite Bennett onto the podcast for him to talk about me, just for clarity there. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I think the reason when I was doing Student Ministry in Austin, Texas, I was so encouraged and stretched by the fact that we had so many students that served at summer camps. And I remember I did that one time between my junior and senior year of high school. And it was one of the most helpful ways for me to grow my walk with the Lord. I was in a, a cabin with, and I thought it was amazing because, because I was the only high school student and I'm with like all these college people and I'm thinking I'm like the coolest person in the world. But it stressed me in so many ways. And the remainder of my summers, primarily in college, I was very focused on making sure I had enough money to pay for it. And I look back and I wish I would have tried to find more serving opportunities like that. And so, so it was cool for me to hear about how your summer went and get updates and that kind of stuff, and which kind of drove why we're having this conversation today. So, and maybe just give a little bit of context of like, what is Cooperstown Bible Camp, and like just an idea, because maybe there's some folks, again, I'll put the link in the show notes, but they may be like, well, what is that? Like, what is summer camp? You know, some people don't necessarily know what that is. So maybe describe that a little bit before we move on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Cooperstown Bible Camp is, a camp that is centered upon, Jesus. And basically it has 6 weeks during the summer. Each week there will be a different set of grades that come in, whether it's like high school or whether it's middle school. There's just different groups that come in.
Yeah.
And they'll have their own activities that they do. There's archery, there's riflery, rock wall, different team building things as well, just to help them get a better understanding of the gospel too. And they do a good job at incorporating like the gospel into everything there.
Yeah.
They'll share different principles, different different ideas relating to Jesus after any activity, and then they'll even have messages every day. So
Yeah, no, that's good. And we go there we take our student ministry there for a middle school fall retreat, a high school fall retreat, every October. It's been great. You've been a part of those for a while. And I snag a handful of dads often, and some moms too, but we try to go out there once in a while and do some serving projects and that kind of thing. And so it's been fun just to get out there to help serve the camp a little bit and such. And so it's been a great place to partner in ministry in a lot of ways as I think about it. Actually, I met a girl, I won't say her name, but she came to college ministry last Sunday night, and she goes, "Hey, were you the high school speaker last year at Cooperstown Bible Camp?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, I was." And she goes, "Oh, I remember you," because I was there speaking, and so that was just a fun connection.
That's great.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. So, And what was your role at camp? Counselor. What does your typical week look like? That kind of thing.
Yeah. I was a camp counselor. Basically, my role was to stay with the kids at all times. But we had our own cabins. Each counselor would lead their cabin with a cabin buddy who was usually only there for about a third of the day, or whenever they needed them. But basically, my role was to guide the kids through the activities and to make sure that all was running smoothly with it, and basically just answer any questions that they have, whether about life or about the Bible, about God.
Yeah. Can you share a moment when you saw the Lord clearly at work in the life of maybe a camp or even yourself as you was ministering and encouraging kiddos and students throughout the summer?
Yeah. So one of those times, I would say would be, I can't remember what week it was, but let's just say my cabin was not getting along well. As kids often do, they'll make judgments on each other for different things, different reasons, and then they'll go along with their day, hanging out with each other like nothing happened. But
yeah,
at the same time, that week there was just a lot of struggle with that, with kids not having the best time because of there were a few things going on. But by the end of the week, we got to share about how community is supposed to build with each other. And at the end of the week, that is when my cabin won Cabin of the Week, which is given to the cabin that basically just earns the most points, which includes a lot of things like saying Bible verses, winning games, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a great thing because of they, at the beginning of the week, were not being very encouraging. And then by the end of the week, when they needed all their verses done, because really to win Cabin of the Week, you need to say all your verses. Otherwise, you don't got a chance. And they were being encouraging. They were helping each other with their verses. It wasn't just me who had to encourage them to finish whatever verses they had. They were working together and even going through actions at times. And yeah, that was just one way I thought it was cool.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. What were some of your biggest challenges that you faced this summer, and how did God help you move through those challenges?
Yeah, challenges. I guess the biggest challenges come when the kids, it doesn't seem like the kids want to listen or learn.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. They're kids and they want to have fun. They're likely, well, for the most part, to have fun, or it's a blessing when they are there just for Jesus. But at the same time, they want fun. And there were times where our Bible studies each day, because we'd have one basically for a half hour each day, where we'd get nothing done. And I felt like I was failing at leading. And I guess it was just an eye opener. Like, I can't force these kids to listen, and I can't force them to want to share things when I ask them a question. But one thing I can do is just rely on God to work through my actions and work through the things I say throughout the rest of the day. Like, because we aren't only witnesses through that Bible study, it's through our whole day-to-day lives.
Yeah. And I'm sure that was probably very frustrating for you to try to be studying the Bible with the kiddos or the students, and they're not paying as much attention, that kind of thing. And yeah, that can be, I've been in that position many times, and I'm like, okay, Lord, help me to care for these kiddos as best as I can. And then I think sometimes then I have some insecurities, like, Lucas, why can't you do this or that kind of stuff? So I'm assuming it was stretching in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. It made me think a lot about me handling it instead of just letting God handle it.
Yeah.
And I just needed to give that to God. Like, I can't handle this myself. It's God who handles it. It's God who makes the seed grow. It's like all I can do is do what He wants me to.
Yeah, no, for sure. How did serving at camp grow your faith and dependence on Jesus?
I think going back to the environmental change, like, first, I think the first step was to actually go there, to just rely on Jesus, that He would have the right plan for me as I go there, because that was the hardest thing for me. Like, just making the decision to go there. Once I got there, like, I almost immediately knew it was like the right thing for me. I could just feel it. And, but going to camp helped me build the relationships with other staff. And immediately I saw that. I met a friend, Liam. He really stuck with me throughout the whole year, or the whole summer. We talked about everything together. He was my cabin buddy a couple weeks, and we did a lot together. We answered a lot of each other's questions and just talked through things. It was great, because I had been praying that God would help me through this time, and immediately when I show up to camp, like, I show up and there's no one else around except Liam, who was just showing up at that time too. And I thought he was just somewhat of a shy kid, because he looked like he looked like he didn't know what he was supposed to be doing there as well. He was kind of in the same shoes as me. It was weird, but we immediately like clicked and we started talking right there, and we took a tour together of the camp. When all our parents left, who were dropping us off. So yeah, we basically stuck together the whole time, and yeah, that really helped me with with growing in faith. And there's plenty of other relationships too that I could mention. That's just one specific one too.
Yeah. I even just look back on my one experience at summer camp, and the thing that stuck so much with me was, I'm like, man, this was probably what it had to have been like in the time of Jesus, where just the community component, where it's like you're living with these people, you're spending all of your time. There's not a lot of distractions. It's not like you're coming to Fargo every night, or like your purpose is there. You probably had your phone, but you were probably on it so little. So most of what you're doing is just serving and pouring into others. And that was probably the biggest takeaway for me, is like, man, this has to be as close of an experience I've ever had with what I think living in community was really like. And so is that similar to your experience?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think you hit it right on the head there. Like, I didn't really have my phone throughout the week, really. I mean, during staff training, they let us have it during the evenings.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the weeks, like I didn't get my phone until the weekend for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
But I think eliminating those distractions really just helped me and the others just build our relationships with each other.
Yeah.
And having those distractions, even one-sided, like if I were to have those distractions, then the others might have a hard time building their relationship with me too.
Yeah.
It's like, so having distractions eliminated from both sides, that just really helped with both of us connecting. And I'd say I became really good friends with almost all the staff. I got to connect with just about all of them, maybe some less than others, but at the same time, it's like more than if I would have had those distractions.
Yeah, for sure. And how many summer staff were there? Like 15, 18, something like that?
Yeah, so there was like 8 guys, 8 girls.
Okay.
And then there were the others who are all year round. But
yeah, so about 20 or so. I guess.
Probably about 20.
Okay.
So we had them there. It's kind of funny though. Another story here. When we were there, during staff training, we all the guys share a cabin to kind of connect with each other, and then all the girls share one cabin. And it was great because of one night during staff training, one of the other guys, he shared he shared in the cabin that they had thought there was only going to be 4 people for the guys' staff, because that's what they had last year, and that was a terror because of they have maintenance they need to do, they have ground stuff they need to do, and kitchen, all that stuff that they need to fulfill, and that was super hard for them last year, supposedly. With only 4 guys staff who usually do the maintenance.
For sure.
So like they'd be able to have like 2 counselors, which is tough. And so they were saying how when we showed up, when me and then Liam and then a couple others who they didn't expect to show up, when they showed up, like it was just a blessing that they hadn't expected coming.
Yeah.
And I guess that told me in my mind, like, wow, this is just like fruit of what came from me listening to God. Like, wow, it's great that God works in that way.
Yeah, it's awesome. What were particular scriptures that encouraged you during the summer? Was there maybe a few? I know there's a lot of memory verses throughout the summer, that kind of stuff, but were there any specific ones that were really most impactful for you in your walk with the Lord throughout the summer?
Well, I guess really the only one, I mean, I can't really think of a specific verse, but the whole book of 1 John.
Okay. Yeah.
We went through that as a group.
Like as a staff?
Yeah, as a staff. Okay. And like we'd have our own study on the weekends of 1 John, and then we also went through 2nd and 3rd John, but specifically 1 John, like telling all, like giving all the ways we can recognize we are believers, and then also what ways that non-believers are non-believers. But it was like just really encouraging to see like all of it playing out. Like we are lights, and that's what we're doing at camp.
Yeah.
And that's what 1 John really hits on, that the light is greater than the darkness, and seeing that all the people around here are just being lights to the kids and helping them be lights as well. It was just really encouraging to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is really cool. When it comes to, you spend a lot of times with the kids and the students, what did you learn about sharing the gospel? And you probably share the gospel more times in that 8 weeks than maybe your entire life. I mean, that'd probably be true for most people, I would assume. And so what was that like? And then maybe what are some of the things that you'll carry with you moving forward when it comes to sharing the gospel with others?
Yeah. I guess one thing, about that is, of course, in staff training, like they put you through, kind of like a gospel training session.
Yeah.
And they give you different exercises for it. And the first exercise they had us do as a staff was they gave us little slips of paper with words on them, like random words that were written down by one of the other staff. And it was funny because they were just anything from like a lawnmower to a phone to anything else. And it was like the exercise was to give a gospel presentation on it. And what that would mean is that you talk about the specific thing and relate it to Jesus and how he saved you. Or even sometimes you maybe don't necessarily bring in the whole gospel story, but you bring up a specific principle, like mentioned in the Bible, like how having others in your life to build up your relationship with Jesus, like stuff like that. But it all depends on the situation you're in. And it's like, you don't know what situations you're going to be in with kids and what questions they'll ask or what they'll bring up with others. So you need to be prepared to answer or to give those presentations about anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of relating back to like how Cooperstown relates everything to the gospel, even the archery or the riflery, rock climbing, all those things, like afterwards, like when they can give those presentations.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Can you tell us about a time when you were especially encouraged by the camp community or even fellow staff that was just really insightful for you?
Oh man, this is
probably hard to choose,
It is so hard to choose this. But no, I will say one of the best times, I'll say, like, we had a ton of different conversations about just biblical things. I mean, all of us believers and all of us having those questions and loving to talk theology, talk the Bible. At camp we had nights where we just talk about it on weekends because usually that's just what we do. If we had nothing else going on. Yeah. And usually it would start with one of us asking a question that we got throughout the week that we didn't know how to answer, or asking a question that we want to know how to better explain if asked. And there was this one night where a couple of us counselors were sitting down, and I think it was a Saturday night. That would make sense. But we were sitting down just in the main lobby area and of the lodge, which is the main building with like food and stuff in. But we were sitting down, and basically one of us asks a question about righteous anger. And it was like, okay, how do we answer this? Can humans have righteous anger? And so funny thing is, we just started talking about that. It lasted an hour and a half for that question.
Okay.
And that just led to even more questions about like the earth and like creation. And so then we continued on our conversation, and the whole conversation lasted about 4 hours until 11 o'clock at night. Like it was crazy because it was just a spontaneous question. And the thing that really was like really stuck out to me too is like it started with 3 people, and then throughout the 4 hours, like more people started coming in, and then it ended up with like 9 people there, like
awesome.
just discussing it. And it was like, wow, we're really like including people. And that's something that I thought was great there is like how inclusive we were to everyone. Like if we wanted to do something, then we'd make sure that like everyone was a part of it.
Yeah.
And if we didn't make sure everyone was a part of it, then that's when we knew something was wrong and that we wanted to go back to them and make sure they were let in on it next time.
No, that's awesome. Now it's a paid position, right?
Yes.
Is it okay to ask? Like, I mean, I'm probably on their website, I guess, but like, what does a summer staff make? Is it like a couple $100 every week kind of thing?
Yeah. So yeah, back to like,
and I'm mostly asking. So if someone's listening, they're like, "Oh, I'm interested in maybe serving at Cooperstown." That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on like your stage of life too.
Okay,
like,
gotcha. But I mean, just for this,
for me, as a college student, I was making about $300 a week.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I just figured there'd be somebody listening that'd be like, "Oh man, maybe I want to do that throughout the summer and that kind of thing." So, how has your experience at camp shaped the way you think about ministry and even your future?
Yeah. So the experience I had at camp, it was truly one of the best experiences I would say I've had.
Yeah.
And just a lot of the things about it, like the community, like that's just something I talk about a lot and I'm really passionate about, but the community, just having like people who are believers around you at all times, just being able to teach the kids together and to work in that environment, like that really strengthened like my belief that I really do want to do ministry. And it's like one of those things where I believed I wanted to do ministry, but now it's like that's really what fulfills me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's when I was there, it was very fulfilling to just be able to talk to the kids. And like honestly, I didn't get a ton of questions from the kids until really the last week, which was senior high. And it was like great when they asked the questions. It was like I really wanted to be there for them, and they weren't only biblical questions, they were like life questions. And it's like so awesome to be able to be there and just provide wisdom for them.
Yeah, I even just remember my time being out there last summer, and just the questions the high school students ask. I'm just like, man, this is so much fun. I just remember one time I couldn't even make it out the door. You know, they were asking some questions, and hey, well, let's just sit down right here. Let's just talk about this. And just it was just a really sweet time, even just as I remember being out there a couple summers ago and such. And yeah. And I think even when I was describing, you know, working out at a summer camp with you before you went out, in my mind, I was thinking, man, you're going to get more ministry experience probably at a summer camp than maybe you would 2 or 3 summers interning at a church. Because they're just different. They're just, you know, like you're with people all day, every day. And it's just gospel conversation after gospel conversation, either from peers, from staff above you, and, you know, from the campers. And so, yeah, it's like a crash course in ministry.
For sure.
And yeah. So anyway, I'm just stoked to hear that it was, and I had already talked to you about it, but just it brings great joy for me to hear that it was so impactful for you. So, what encouragement would you give to maybe another student or young adult who might be considering serving at a camp? And so how would you encourage them if they're pondering, man, should I do something like this? Is it beneficial? Like, and somebody would have a lot of questions, but just maybe speaking that a little bit.
No, for sure. And it's like, well, number one, first of all, pray.
Yeah.
And seek out what God wants from you. And it's like, if you if you believe that God is truly calling you to it, don't waste the opportunities that he's giving you.
Yeah.
Because when he opens those doors for you, there's a good chance that he wants you to take it. And maybe camp won't be for you. Maybe it's not something he's calling you to, but I'd say prayer and just seeking out maybe even advice from other mentors. Like you encouraged me, Lucas, to take this, and after prayer and highly considering it, like I felt God pulling me towards it. So like prayer and seeking advice from others who know the Lord as well.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I love it. Well, thanks for having the conversation. And there's 1,000 more questions I'll ask you, or I could ask you, but I'll refrain. For sure. So I'll just ask you every day when I see you. Yep. So
go for it.
But yeah, and I would even encourage those, especially, upper high school and college, man, you're looking for a place to like figure out if ministry is something that the Lord's calling you to, either as a job or in whatever format or fashion. I can't encourage folks enough to give Cooperstown Bible Camp a shot, just as a great way to see where they're at spiritually and how they can grow, and even the time there.
Yeah, and like if you do decide to go to Cooperstown, I don't think that there will be any regret.
Well said.
It's a great experience. Really for almost anyone there. I don't know anyone who said that they had a terrible experience serving. So I think it's a good way to grow either way.
Yeah. Now you may also grow outwardly too, because the food at camp is robust.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still losing the
weight. So well, to wrap up our time here, how can those listening be praying for you, and just as you kind of continue living life in this next season, going to seminary, going to Moody, interning here at Bethel Church, how can those listening be praying for you, man?
Well, I'd say my number one prayer request is that I will continue with striving, with seeking after the Lord, like I was at camp. And it's like at camp you have that Christian community at all times, and you're constantly looking for answers for spiritual things. You're talking about those things. Whereas when you get home, maybe you do talk about it, but at the same time, you have life. You have life to go through.
Yeah.
And there's work, there's other activities, and there's a lot of distractions that might not be at camp. So just prayer that I'll continue seeking the Lord in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Bennett, thanks for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the House on Fire podcast. Our prayer is that this podcast activates your home for Jesus. May the light of Christ burn bright through you and yours. Until next time.